Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second edition of Commerce Unpacked. We're so excited that you were able to join us today. I'm joined by Samantha Rapani. And if you remember in our last episode, we started to chat through, how to get started on TikTok and selling on TikTok Shop, the different methods of connecting your platform. This week, we're going to dive into fulfillment specifically. So we have Sam here who has worked with hundreds of brands getting them set up and shipping on TikTok. So we're really excited to get started. First, we will kick it off with some e-commerce headlines. So this week in e-commerce, as we know, Chinese New Year officially kicked off, Year of the Dragon. So hoping that all of you got your inventory into your warehouses already. As we know, there will be some disruptions in supply chain, trucking lanes, manufacturing, and importing to the U.S. It's a time of year where people come together with their families and don't think about work. So I can definitely appreciate that. A next big update, Apple Vision Pro has officially hit shelves in the US. I've seen so many memes on this, and I'm really excited to try a pair myself. But it really begs the question on what does this mean for e-commerce? What does this mean for shopping? And, that next generation of immersive shopping experiences. So we know retailers are already rushing to figure out ways to use this augmented reality to, help customers try on clothes, see different sizing, and really the possibilities are endless. So really excited to see where this goes. And lastly, a pretty exciting and interesting statistic for all of us in North America. Mexico officially surpassed China as the top exporter to the U.S. for the first time in 20 years. This is obviously an incredible milestone. We know that a lot of brands are looking to, if not onshore, at least bring their inventory closer to their U.S. distribution centers. A big part of that is supply chain challenges in the Panama Canal and in the Suez Canal, increased air freight costs, and so on. This is also a really great time to plug a new feature that ShipBob will be offering very soon, which is supporting Section 321. Now, Section 321 is a customs law that allows brands to avoid duties and taxes with e-commerce orders, specifically under $800. So if you manufacture, you have your inventory in either Mexico or Canada, instead of paying duties, especially on high tariff items like apparel, for example, you can fulfill directly from those fulfillment centers in Canada or in Mexico, bypass those duties and taxes, and lower your shipping costs, sometimes very drastically. So if anybody is interested in learning a bit more about Section 321 and how you can use it for your brand, you can drop it in the chat. You can reach out to us at partnerships@shipbob.com, and we can get you connected with the right teams. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to Samantha Rapani. She is an onboarding and growth manager here at ShipBob. She also works on our Powered By team, so helping merchants, like I said, sell on one of the fastest growing channels in e-commerce. So Samantha, to you.
Thank you, Gina. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. A little bit of background about myself. Of course, my name is Samantha, and I am based in Chicago. I've been with ShipBob for about 5 years now. Previously, I spent a lot of time on implementation, and now I'm working on our TikTok partnerships team as an onboarding and growth manager. That being said, I've been in a lot of dashboards, different type of e-commerce platforms, and what we're going to review today is specifically TikTok Shop and how to set up your fulfillment settings. Then we'll talk a little bit about our partnership with Fulfilled by TikTok, and I'll leave time for questions. So if anyone does have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll be looking at this, and I want to make sure that if there are any questions, we get to those and that this is conversational as possible. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Frank, that's a great question. So, to start, we're going to talk specifically about TikTok Shop for the United States. TikTok does have a TikTok Shop feature within the UK as well. They're planning to expand to the EU, but at this time, EU is not available. Similar to Amazon, TikTok is segmented into specific regions. So, we're talking about the US region, and this is my TikTok Seller Center test account here today. I don't have real products or orders in this account, so my account is technically deactivated. So it doesn't work as a real shop. However, it's perfect for a demo purpose, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Ultimately, TikTok has a few different, essentially, pages for TikTok overall. There's TikTok Business Center, there's your TikTok Ads Manager account, and then there's the TikTok Seller Center. That's where we're on right now. And this Seller Center is what you set up when you're a business that essentially wants to sell on TikTok and allow your customers to purchase directly from you on TikTok rather than having to be redirected to an e-commerce platform. So here we are within the TikTok Seller Center. And of course, the first step is always to register your business, add your tax information, and then from there, you essentially set up your shipping. That's what we're focusing on. So we'll click on orders, and then we are going to look at shipping options. So here we are on the shipping options page, and you can see that there are two separate options that we're looking at. Here on the left is TikTok shipping. Now, with the branding of this, a lot of sellers are selecting this in their there's always like basically like fun emojis. This can be a little bit misleading sometimes because when you're using TikTok shipping, this essentially means that you are required to utilize a TikTok provided shipping label. And in most cases, that's not very compliant with a 3PL. Here at ShipBob, we use our own shipping labels for fulfillment. And so this is not actually the right option to select when you're working with ShipBob or most other 3PLs as well. Seller shipping is this essentially the setting that you'll want to add because this allows you to utilize a different shipping label that's not directly provided from TikTok. And this also allows for your TikTok shop to essentially be connected to a different e-commerce platform for orders to fulfill. So I recommend if you are seeing any issues, maybe you have your TikTok shop connected to your Shopify. If you're ever seeing a funky scenario where an address is essentially, not showing appropriately, there's hidden information, it's probably because you selected TikTok shipping. So choosing seller shipping is what you're always going to want to set up. And in order to set this up, you'll actually need to create a shipping template. So I have a few test templates here. You can basically, for the first time that you jump into this page, you click create, and then you'll be able to create a brand new template. What we're going to do today is just look at one I already have set up, and we're going to essentially go through the different steps and discuss the best practice here. Apologies on my Wi-Fi, it's loading a little bit slow today. The first step is to name your template. You can name this anything that you'd like. It is not customer facing, it's just what your team sees so that you're able to designate your different shipping templates. You can have different templates if you have different warehouses with different products. So you're able to segment that as well. The ship from location will be the warehouse that you set up. So I have a US pickup warehouse and a test warehouse. We'll continue to use this test warehouse. And then you have the option under the rate model to basically set up shipping cost in a weight-based or a quantity-based segment. Weight-based is really more focused on, the total weight of the shipment, while quantity is based on the average cart size. So let's say that a customer ordered 3 items, you could charge more for 3 items to be shipped rather than 2. We'll go off a weight-based model. So there are 3 different options that you'll see. There's standard shipping, express shipping, and then economy shipping. Standard shipping, essentially from when the order is placed and paid for by the customer, delivery is required within 7 days. Us here at ShipBob, we're absolutely able to achieve this SLA timeline, and we can help with these TikTok shop orders and shipping them, especially within the 7 day frame. But it's really important to know maybe if you're looking to transition to ShipBob or maybe self shipping some of these orders, that you need to make sure these are delivered within this timeline. You can basically set up different delivery regions. So, for example, I had the Midwest and the South selected as one of my delivery regions, and I am charging $5 as a flat rate for this region. You can charge different rates for different regions, just dependent on where your fulfillment center or centers are located, to make sure that you're charging customers appropriately based on the cost that you're seeing for shipping. Frank, I see a question in the chat from you. Let me take a quick moment to read this. So, in regards to TikTok fulfillment, there are a few different mechanisms for fulfilling orders. Frank, these are really good questions. Let me know if maybe there's an area that I'm not covering, and I'll go back over that. One option is just standard TikTok shop fulfillment, where you can either self fulfill out of your own warehouse, that would be like under TikTok shipping. Under seller shipping is where ShipBob would fulfill this order for you. By basically connecting TikTok to your Shopify, and then ShipBob could import the order from Shopify and push the information back to TikTok. That's an option as well. Of course, Fulfillment by TikTok is a really exciting partnership. It is similar to an Amazon FBA sort of partnership. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I do want to continue to focus on just basically the setup, because if this setup isn't completed, typically it does cause order import issues just overall. So to go back to this page here, you can basically just have different delivery regions, shipping options. There's also express, which needs to be delivered within 4 days. So you always want to make sure that this is shipped with an expedited method. And then there is economy shipping, which would be delivered within 11 days. Now, I highly recommend keeping Alaska and Hawaii in a separate economy shipping, sort of delivery region under a longer speed, because typically Alaska and Hawaii take a bit longer to deliver to, just based on how carriers ship orders to those locations. So what I typically recommend is setting this within the economy shipping area. Basically, once you have this template set up, you are going to click submit. You'll save the template. And then we'll go back to shipping options, because when you originally click select under seller shipping, what's going to happen is it's going to say set up a template. So you'll need to set up the template, come back here, and then select seller shipping. This is just a very high level of how to set up TikTok shops fulfillment options. Seller shipping is going to be what you use when you're working with ShipBob, a 3PL. And if you, in general, maybe self-fulfill TikTok orders out of your home while you're growing and expanding the platform, that's when TikTok shipping is a good option. I'll wait a moment for questions. Does anyone have any questions on this setup? Okay. So ShipBob also has an incredibly interesting partnership with TikTok under a program called Fulfilled by TikTok. What's different about this is it's essentially TikTok's competitor product with Amazon FBA. So currently, this is an invite-only program that I am able to essentially help you get access to, but we are powering this for TikTok. And it's where you essentially segment inventory to be held by TikTok, and these specific orders that are for TikTok utilize that inventory. TikTok is helping subsidize this. And Frank, I see that your question about TikTok Shop as an additional sales channel to Amazon or a big competitor, it's absolutely getting there. TikTok is massively growing. We saw over 2.5 billion in sales in Q4 of 2023 on TikTok. Really fabulous numbers. It's the fastest growing e-commerce platform that we've seen in our time here at ShipBob. So absolutely strike while the iron is hot. It's really important to expand to this program. Any other questions from the audience today? All right, Gina, if you wouldn't mind sharing the slide that we have about Fulfilled by TikTok.
Sure, absolutely. And then I know we've gotten a few questions ahead of time, so we can get into those afterwards. Let's just get those slides up.
Great.
Awesome. So Sam, if you want to take the audience.
Sure. Absolutely. So I highlighted this a little bit without the slide showing here, but with Fulfillment by TikTok, it's a really seamless experience for both you and your customer because you'll send your inventory, to TikTok under their platform. So the shopper experience is really smooth from discovery to delivery of the order. TikTok handles the order fulfillment. That's where ShipBob actually helps power this partnership. We do all the operational work. And typically the order gets to your customer in a very quick manner because we have a large network of facilities doing this program and we have quick shipping times and methods. You can offer express and standard. Express is typically 1 to 3 business days and standard is typically 3 to 5 business days. As I highlighted, it's really the important segment to differentiate between Fulfilled by TikTok and just standard TikTok shop is that for Fulfilled by TikTok, you essentially segment inventory just for TikTok sales. It's very similar to how Amazon FBA is. When you send inventory to Amazon, that inventory is specifically for Amazon sales. And if you want to make essentially, have your inventory all under one home, you can always connect your TikTok to an e-commerce platform that ShipBob is connected to. In this Fulfilled by TikTok program, you would essentially manage everything within the TikTok ecosystem. Of course, ShipBob is powering this. However, all, interactions are typically through the TikTok portal. There are great subsidies associated with this program right now as it is in a beta phase and TikTok is really pushing to launch this to a broader group. And Tara, I see your question about how you get invited to use this. You can essentially just send me an email. My email will be on the next slide and we can have a conversation. And there is not, in regards to like an added cost for using Fulfilled by TikTok, ShipBob does not charge any like implementation fees associated with this program. We're happy to talk to you about this program and get you started. And essentially, any billing would go through the TikTok team. Yeah, so note my email down, Tara, and anyone else on this call who'd like to review the Fulfilled by TikTok partnership. We'll go into a lot more detail. Just keep in mind, it's kind of like Amazon FBA. And if you're interested in just selling on TikTok and maybe not segmenting your inventory, I can also help advise on the best way to connect TikTok and ShipBob.
Awesome. Well, that was an amazing overview, Sam. I know I learned something every time I listen to you talk about TikTok. So a few of the questions we had that came in ahead of time. One was, how many items do merchants list on their shop when they're first starting out? Is there any sort of like average that you recommend? Do you recommend starting small with like maybe a diamond SKU or bestseller? So that's the first question.
Yeah, that's a great one. So essentially, it depends on your approach and your company type, which I know is a little bit of a blanketed answer. However, what's the same across the board is starting with your hero SKUs. Any product that you think could, also be a hero SKU on TikTok as well. Maybe a product that's easy to demonstrate the use of or go live and actually talk about it so you can engage with those viewers and convert them to customers. There have actually been the largest companies, like enterprise level companies, usually start with just one SKU that's only for TikTok. There was actually a news article released the other day that Coca-Cola is going to expand to TikTok, and they have a SKU they created just for this platform. That's also a really fun strategic way to drive sales to TikTok Shop because it's the only place they can get that specific product.
Yeah, we've heard that before on a lot of new channels, or even if you know you keep that special product on your own
Mhm.
website, you sell some of your other products on a marketplace to get that audience back to your store for that hero SKU, as you mentioned. So that's a great question and great advice, Sam. The next question is, what's the benefit of using middleware compared to self-fulfilling?
Oh, there are so many benefits to this because ultimately, with self-fulfilling, you're limited by your bandwidth. So, as much as, you may be able to, have a family member or a friend start fulfilling these TikTok orders, there's the potential that you could wake up in the morning and have several hundred orders from the night before. And in that scenario, it's really hard to keep up with TikTok's required SLAs to actually fulfill orders on time. If you don't fulfill those orders on time, you'll basically have these violations set against your account and your account health will decrease. And if it continues to decrease, ultimately you could be deactivated off of TikTok Shop. So the benefit of using a middleware and working with a 3PL is you can essentially connect TikTok to your e-commerce platform and then connect your e-commerce platform to a 3PL. I know it's kind of a wave through, but 3PLs generally, and especially ShipBob, are able to fulfill mass quantities of orders. We have a massive team at our fulfillment centers who are able to keep up with the demand, especially with the virality of TikTok. It's important to work with a strong partner like ShipBob.
Yeah, and I guess can you talk a little bit about these violations? What happens if you do get, uh, I guess, kicked off?
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Uh, Kicked off is a fine way to explain it. Ultimately, you can appeal for your account to be essentially reinstated. That appeals process does take some time. It's not necessarily the cleanest appeal process. A lot of decisions on TikTok are AI driven. So there's quite a bit of back and forth, but some potential types of um, violations you could see is maybe order to deliver timeline. Let's say you have all these orders and you're supposed to have them delivered within 7 days. If they're not delivered within 7 days, TikTok is going to count that as a point against your account. And once you get to a specific point level, you actually get less views on your videos and less conversion because there are lower views. There are so many different types of violations that can potentially occur. So I just recommend to everyone in this room that when you're setting up your TikTok shop, take, time to do it slowly. Make sure all information is really proper and that you have all, product certifications uploaded as well.
Awesome. That's great advice. I know a lot of times in ebooks and a lot of the content we see out there, we don't talk a lot about the violations.
Yeah,
So it's great to mention that. We actually have another question that came in from Tara before we head back into the pre-seed questions, if you
sure.
will. And this one is a pretty common one. In the instance where a brand actually wants to use a 3PL,
Mhm.
how does that work? And a great question there is ShipBob compatible with Shopify?
ShipBob is very compatible with Shopify. As it's Valentine's Day, I'd almost say that we're in love with Shopify. Um, sorry,
Shopify
guys,
for
that can be a little bit
Valentine's
cheesy.
Day.
Can be a little bit cheesy sometimes, but in the instance that you do want to use, a ShipBob, a 3PL, essentially the way that TikTok is set up is that the shop is not very compatible with 3PLs directly. So that's why these like middleware options such as Aftership, Pipe 17, or even the direct Shopify and TikTok application to connect the two are really important to get those orders through to your 3PL. So ShipBob actually has gone a step further with TikTok. We have a certain way to flag TikTok orders so that we actually push those ahead of the queue. So they're the first to be fulfilled, similar to how Amazon orders are to always hit those SLAs. Tara, did I answer your question clearly enough? If there's any details you'd like to know, please go ahead and post another question in the chat.
And I'll ask the next one. What are the most common types of products you see TikTok sellers listing on their
Yeah.
shop?
Oh, TikTok is really massive in the beauty space right now and in apparel. I would say those are the two biggest categories that I've personally seen. However, almost all product types are popular on TikTok because there's so many different audiences and segments of what people are viewing and willing to purchase. So anything, again, makeup, skincare, hair care, that's typically the best selling on TikTok overall. Apparel's also massive. And then I would say after that, like small gadgets, for example, maybe like a phone case. Those like items like that are very popular too. And I would say from like a cost perspective, typically, I see cart values around like $25 to $50. So some higher end items move a little bit slower on TikTok, but are still, absolutely, it's a great place to still sell those.
Awesome. And I think okay, Tara said we answered her question. I have one more for you before I let you get back to your Valentine's Day secret admirers. Let's see. So, last question. Oh, we might have gotten one more. Okay, Tara has another one, and then we'll get into our last one. For someone using Shopify, why would they use ShipBob over Flexport, for example, which is also integrated into Shopify? So I will just jump in there quickly and say that ShipBob is extremely compatible with Shopify. As Samantha mentioned, we are a certified Plus partner as well. So if you are on Shopify Plus, we have all of the certifications to support at the Plus level. We are also going to be announcing some really exciting updates with Shop Promise as well. So, definitely register for our winter release webinar as well, where we'll talk about that. The trend or really the expectation around delivery timelines and having that transparent communication with your customer on when a delivery is actually going to arrive is just getting more and more important, especially with channels like TikTok where everything seems almost instantaneous, and we're seeing deliveries come even same day, next day. It's so important. And I know we skipped over this slide in the beginning, but ShipBob has over 50 fulfillment centers, not only in North America, but around the world, EU, UK, APAC, and a robust set of Shopify capabilities as well. So when you want to if you are looking to, for example, compare against a Flexport or another 3PL, you can absolutely connect with our sales team, and they will take you through like the capability by capability, feature by feature level comparison if you're interested. Sorry, Sam, if I took that question away from you, but if there's anything you want to add there, specifically if you've seen other brands with other 3PLs, try to get started with TikTok Shop, if there's any differences there.
Gina, I think you answered it so wonderfully. Tara, the only thing I would say is that our tech team is very invested in TikTok, and we have essentially like a special flow with TikTok orders that go through Shopify. So we're very used to the way that this integration is, even like outside of the direct ShipBob connection with Shopify. I would say that's a benefit that I'd add there as well. But everything Gina said too.
And then our last one is going to be, well, this all sounds great, but what does pricing look like for FBT?
Yeah, so for Fulfilled by TikTok, TikTok is currently subsidizing some of the order cost and some storage fees as well. Absolutely. Email me if you're interested in learning more about this. We can go through that pricing more in depth. And there are some subsidies just generally around the TikTok shop experience as TikTok is expanding this platform and really just trying to make this, social shopping common in the United States. So send me an email. We'll talk about that more. And I appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Join us again in 2 weeks from today for our next episode. And enjoy your Valentine's Day, everyone. Take care.